Jazzie after dark, presents Artist Talk. A live one-on-one conversation, 30 minutes of pure entertainment with musicians, writers, and actors to motivators, chefs, and even rappers to up-and-comings with the it factor. It's the Jazzie K Ward coming at ya. Tune in, chime in, sit back, relax, have fun, some smiles, a few laughs. Tune in, chime in, sit back, relax, have fun, some smiles, a few laughs.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the show, Artist Talk. I'm your host, Jazzie K. Ward. Happy Monday, everyone. As always, I'm always looking forward to seeing you on the show, having great conversations. So while everyone is coming in the room, I know we all have another device. I have like 2 or 3 devices, right? Go over to K Ward Radio, which is my YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe and like the channel, as well as kwardradio.com is my website. Make sure you go over there and like the page. And if you don't, as we say on the show, shame on you for that. Everybody's here. Chef D is in the background. My girl, Dr. G, is also in the house. And you know what? We have special guests. I have been anticipating. I don't know if I'm gonna tell D. I don't know if it's been a few years, a couple of years, I think. We've been going back and forth trying to get him on the show, right? Our schedules, my schedule, his schedule. But hey, that's okay. I believe everything happens in divine time. It happens when it's supposed to happen. And so I'm super excited to have international recording artist D Brown out of the Big D, the Detroit, Michigan, is in the house, y'all. And so we're super excited to talk about him, what he's been up to, what's been happening. He has new music out. Is he touring? How can you see him? How can you support him? And if you don't know D Brown, what do we say? Shame on you. So hey, let's bring in my girl, my co-host, my left arm right here on the show, Dr. Chantel Graham, Dr. G, as we know her. Let's bring her in the room.
I was going past you like the women used to do back in the day when they passed it over. Happy Monday. Hello to our regulars. You know, we love Colleen and Smooth and all of them. How you guys doing? What's going on? What's going on, Jazzie?
Nothing. Shame on you. What kind of shirt you got on over?
Oh, so, I think this shirt is very fitting to me. I'm just being me. Mad extra.
That fits you. That fits
you. Listen, that's not a bad thing. Sometimes people like us, you have to just go above and beyond, and we have to just be mad extra. I'm gonna own that. I'll take it. Take it. Like when I pop out my little fan on the subway.
Right.
I'm mad.
You are mad extra. Hey, but you know what? It's hot. And I'm sure it's hot in New York, so you probably need that fan.
Today is not so bad. It's about 80. It's not too bad. A little rain here and there. But the problem is when you go downstairs and get in that subway.
Oh,
That's
gotcha.
when your hair look like this. And it was straight in the morning. And then by the afternoon, it just starts to make its way back up and then puff out. So we had to just deal with it. And like I always say, anything behind the headband is forgiven.
It's okay. I love that.
Okay. And then my headband is forgiven.
It's
I'm
forgiven.
gonna leave some people with some quotes today. I know we didn't start my section yet, but I heard some inviting news today, and I said it made me think and pause. You know how we always say people they're here for a season, blah blah
Mhm.
blah, and we look at that season as just being they're here, they cut off and they move on. I want people to think about this for a little bit. People are here for a season, but that season is not insignificant. So
Right.
when you get them people in your life and they move on, don't look at it as a bad thing. Think about it. What did you learn from it? How did it affect you? Because it's going to teach you one or two things: what to do or what not to do.
That's true. That
So,
is true. I
so let
like
me
that.
so let's just start your little Mondays off with a little bit of something different.
Right. I like that, Dr. J. It's all about positivity over here on the Artist Talk Show. That's what we do. We do positivity. But, I hope everyone had a great weekend. I see people coming in the room. Make sure you leave comments, like, and share. It's free.
Don't forget subscribe, like, subscribe, and share.
Right.
Sharing costs you nothing. And when they ask me how come I'm not rich, how come why I'm not rich yet, Jazzy? Because you didn't share my
Mm. Boom. There you go. That's right.
that part. Look, that part.
That's right. So, hey, Doctor, we look forward in seeing you in the other half of the show with your mind, body, and soul segment.
Oh, let me go find a topic. I'll be back.
Okay. Are you ready to kick off Artist Talk?
Let's kick it off, y'all. Let's go. I like that music when it plays.
Let's go.
Live from WKRW, welcome to Artist Talk, a live one-on-one conversation with your host, the man with the golden voice, Jazzie K. Ward.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the show, Artist Talk. I'm your host, Jazzie K. Ward. Well, without further ado, ladies, let me tell you about my guest. His name is D. Brown. He's a multi-talented phenomenon and is a highly sought after recording artist. He's firmly committed to his craft and is definitely taking his vision in music to the new top. So let me tell you, he's performed with some of the best in the industry, like the late Al Jarreau, yes, Gerald Albright, Bob Baldwin, Brian Culberson, Spyro Gyra, Jeffrey Osborne, Najee, the Ohio players. And this brother, D. Brown, definitely has that it factor. And if you don't know him, again, shame on you, your mom and them, your auntie them, your cousin and them. Shame on you for not knowing D. Brown. And he's also back with a new song, West 8 Mile. We're going to talk about that. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome to the show, Mr. D. Brown. Mr. Brown.
Yes, sir, Jazzy. How you doing there, man?
Oh, my brother, you looking just cool over there with your hat on, with your shades. How you doing?
Well, I'm doing just fine. How about yourself?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. How was your day today?
Oh, it's Sunday. Oh, that's right. It's Monday.
It's Monday. That's
Man,
okay.
I lost the days, man.
Hey,
Anyway, the day is going fantastic so far.
that's good. That's good. The family and everybody else doing okay?
Yeah, everybody's doing great.
That's
Uh-huh.
good. I want to tell you, thank you so much for us finally connecting on the show. Because I'm thinking, if my memory, I think it's been a couple years. Like I was trying to get Mr. Brown on the show. I know this is a hard-working man, y'all. It's hard to get in contact with Mr. Brown. He's a busy man in a good way. And okay, so we're coming on the show. We're gonna, D, I got a new song out. I'm like, you're gonna get on the show. But thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to have a conversation.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I mean, yes, it's been a while. I've texted you several times and even commented like,
Yeah.
hey, I need to get on the show. And you say, you're coming. And we finally
But
got together. So thank you.
it's good. I'm so glad, my friend, that you were able to come. So, how are things in Michigan?
Well, Michigan is, things here are going really fantastic. I mean, I know we all heard some really bad stories about Detroit and all that sort of thing.
Right.
Detroit is really, really moving up. The downtown area is looking spectacular. If anybody come into Detroit, go to the downtown area. Just look around. Look at all the things you can do. We got the riverfront that's really
Right.
blooming up. We got the inside, and everything's blooming up as new. It's going to be a fantastic city. Already is, but now
Okay.
it's going to be really fantastic for others to come and check it out.
Okay. I love that because you do hear things about Detroit, and I have friends and family there, and they're like, man, you need to come back and
Yeah.
visit and check out all the great things that are happening in the city. And hopefully, I can make that trip, and hopefully, we can go and have lunch or dinner or whatever, D, when I come.
Oh, that sounds like a winner.
I love that. So we're just going to kick off the show, and just going back, D. We were in a time a few years, 3 or 4 years ago, with this thing called the pandemic, and it affected all of us one way or the other. It impacted all of our lives. So during that time, do you remember actually what was going on with you? And could you tell us what was life like for you during that time?
All right. Well, during the pandemic, everything shut down. You couldn't go anywhere. Everybody was wearing masks and those sort of things.
Mhm.
It just everything just shut down. The whole world shut down. So
Right.
musically, for us musicians, it's shut down for us because our whole thing is to be in front of people and perform. So
Right.
that was off the table. Also, when we are doing songs and writing music and those sort of things, we get together as musicians and we exchange notes to come up with ideas to create songs, go into the studio all together and record. Well, we couldn't do any of that. So what I did, I had to continue to do music because at that time, you're not doing anything. You had so much creative energy.
Right.
I just started writing songs. I actually wrote the latest, well, that is my latest full CD, which is Deep Secrets. I actually wrote that during the pandemic. And
Wow.
how I ended up recording it, a lot of musicians out here, they have their home studios. But their
Okay.
home studios, they're not just regular studios. I mean, they got everything in there to make it sound like a record.
Oh, wow.
So I would collaborate with different producers and different musicians, send the music to them. They put their parts on it. Then I had my engineer and producer Valdez Brantley and
Okay.
myself. We go through the stuff that they created and see if it fit into the music perfectly. And if it didn't, we send it back to them, give us some more stuff, and then they would do this. They would send it back, and it would just be perfect.
Oh,
So
wow.
I recorded my album, which is called Deep Secrets, which is my latest album, during the pandemic time.
Okay. That's amazing because actually during that time, I just figured, well, we'll be at home, a week or 2 weeks, and then we were just like in the house. I learned a lot about me
Yeah.
personally. I mean, did you during that time, did you learn anything different about D?
Yeah, I actually got COVID, and when I got it, I was the sickest I've ever been.
Yeah.
And I really thought, I mean, everybody was dying. I mean, there were many people dying. This
Mm.
was a disease that was, I believe, and we don't have any intel to really understand, but I believe this is supposed to be a weapon of mass destruction of some sort. And
Right.
somehow it got out, but that's, just my theory.
Yeah.
Anyway, when I did get the disease, I felt really, really bad. And I really felt at that point I could actually die. I'm like, oh my goodness.
Right.
And I quarantined myself in the house. Everybody put me in the basement, and
Mhm.
I would have to run up and get my food, and they would be running away from me. But anyway, Lord saw it fit for me to get through it, and of course I'm here today.
Oh, that's right.
So I did learn a lot about myself because
Mhm.
after I got well, that's when I started doing the music and
Right.
writing and trying to figure out how could I do this and
Right.
create the whole album because I'm supposed to do one,
Right.
but they didn't say I didn't have to do it. They
Right.
just said I'm supposed to do it.
Right.
So I learned that with understanding what's going on in your life, there's
Mhm.
always a way to make a way to what it is you're trying to do. So
Okay.
that's what I really learned. If you really want to do it, you can do it.
Yeah, you can definitely do it. I even think during that time that it gave me the opportunity because life for all of us is so busy, right?
Yes.
And so I when I get in the car, I listen to music, but most of the time I'm either on the phone, somebody texting, you're driving, and at home I was able to kind of go into my catalog and just really dive in and listen
Yeah.
to a lot of music that even when I'm at the radio station, I'm like, yeah, I'm listening to it, but I'm doing a job, I'm doing multiple things,
Right.
and I don't really get a chance to just kind of just sink the music in.
Right.
And I think about a lot of times, like, what would this world be without music? Could you imagine, like, during that time, if you had no music, no sound while you were quarantined?
You know, I talk to people about music all the time, and a lot of people who love music, they believe, hey, that's your gift. You know, give us more of that stuff. And then
Right,
there's some people who listen to the music and understand that you do music, but then they think, well, you know, that's not really work. You
right,
know, that's not really uh, uh, hard work, I guess they say. And I say to them, you know, playing an instrument, it's not supposed to be hard. It's something that that you use to get the music that's inside of you out.
right,
That's what it's for. That's why it's called an instrument.
right.
So getting that out is one thing, and then putting into a form for you to hear it is another. And that's where the work is.
That's what the
You
work
know,
is.
that's the work there, to try to get it in the form so that other people can hear it.
That's right.
You know, getting the musicians together. You got the engineer, you got the mics, you got the mix, then you got the editing. I mean, and then you got the mastering, and then you got
Right.
all these parts have to
No,
come
that's
together for you to hear it. But people don't realize any of that. They think,
right.
hey, all right, you're just playing music. Oh, it's
It's,
much more to it than that.
it is. It's much more of the components to that, y'all. And I know people are coming into the show. I'm Jazzie K. Ward, your host for Artist Talk. Our special guest is international recording artist, Mr. D Brown. Don't forget, you can go over to dbrownjazz.com, which is the website. Hey, wherever music is streaming, download some music, share the music. We always say on the show, sharing is caring. And that's important. And again, with artists like D Brown, like D Brown, I see you're in a studio now. So most people tell me when I'm at the radio station, I said, well, I have to go to work. It's like, that's not a job. I was like, they said, that's a cool job at the radio station. I said, well, what do you think I'm doing? They said, you just mash a button and turn a microphone on. I said, it's a little bit more to it than that. I have there's a strategy to everything that you have to put together. I have to put a compile a list. When the mic comes on, you never know what's going to happen. You're talking to hundreds of people. People's like, I said, well, I think if you just come and sit with me, and my niece and nephew used to say that, like, Uncle Jazz, just like, you just push a button and you sit there, and I said, okay. That's funny, y'all. That's funny. And don't
Yeah.
forget to leave your comments in the comment section. If you have questions for our guests, make sure you leave the comments there. And I promise you, we'll do our best in answering that. So, D, when we talk about jazz, I always ask people, jazz is in everything, whether it's gospel, whether it's soul, whether it's rock, whether it's R&B, jazz. Even if you go back in history, I'm a history buff. So, when you think about people like Dr. King, the civil rights movement, the whole movement. You had music. You had all of that there. As we move out of the real you segment, but tell us from you, why should people care about jazz music?
Jazz music, like you said, jazz music is the foundation of just about every music that's out there.
Mhm.
And it's our music. It's the music that we created as African Americans. It's our music we created. We created that music. All that other stuff come from it, but that was the original right there. Plus, jazz music is the sort of thing, if you notice, if you listen to a real jazz standard, let's say like a Straight No Chaser, or let's say All Blues, and these are Miles Davis songs. When you listen to that song, listen to the very beginning of it, and after that, you almost get lost
Wow.
because you wonder, well, what's going on at that point? Because it's such a complicated movement that they're doing. And the one thing about a jazz musician is that he always is looking for something new, something different, something to change whatever's going on in his mind as that music is coming at him. And it's an expression of what's going on inside of him. The
Wow.
more you understand music, the better you can, what they call, improvise. And that is actually create something on the spot. And that's what they're
Okay.
doing in that song. If you heard that song and Miles Davis did it, if you
Mhm.
heard it 20 times, 20 times it would be different. Never be the same, ever. It never would
Wow.
be, because it's an interpretation of how they feel at that time and the knowledge that they have of music. So jazz musicians are
Mhm.
really deep in understanding theory and
Right.
using theory to create their landscape of their music. Smooth jazz is a little bit different because smooth jazz is targeting the person who really doesn't like the music of today,
Right.
but wants to hear music that means something besides, they, putting down women and those sort of things.
Right.
Love songs are cool,
Okay.
nothing's wrong with that. But a lot of songs today, they talk about other things than what you really want to hear. And so they turn to instrumental music, but they want the music to reflect maybe their R&B-ish kind of
Got,
feel
got
in those days. And so that's where the smooth jazz artist is home is to
right.
create a music of something that maybe what you heard before, which you can relate to, but make it sort of jazzy, but bring it back home to like an
Mm,
R&B kind of feel. That's what I feel anyway.
fair. I love that. I like that perspective that you put onto that. And so when you talk about music, so like your creative process and how you do your own music, D.
Mhm.
So what do you tell somebody or even tell yourself? What do you do when the world is not ready for your sound?
Well, that happens in the beginning, of course. When I
Mm,
started playing, you play your music for people like, yeah, that sounds okay. I don't really like that. I like, well,
right.
what is it you don't like? Well,
Right.
I don't really like the bass part. I don't like the way the drums sound. I don't like the melody. They would say something like that, and I like,
Right.
well, I would take that as not as an insult, but use it to what can I do to make it more like what they're talking about.
Right.
So music is an art. So when you're talking about an art, no one's going to do it exactly the same. It's impossible.
Right.
I mean, even though there's only 12 notes that exist, that's it. There's only 12.
Right.
But everybody interpret those 12 in a different way and in such a way that they have their own fingerprint or thumbprint of what they do. So when someone says that you're not ready and they give you ideas,
Mhm.
use those ideas to create something, maybe bring it back to them or take it to somebody else. But you always got to let other people hear what it is you're doing to see if you're going in that right direction.
Okay, I like that. And something kind of goes into a question I want to ask you. So, do you know, like when you're in a studio and you record, just say, example, your one of your songs. I'm just going to say Deep Secrets, right?
Okay.
That's one of your any song off of album Deep Secrets,
Hmm.
and you record that in a studio, right?
Right.
And then you perform that live.
Right.
Could you explain the different, I guess, the dynamics of the sound sometimes is different when artists perform it live? Is it because you have this machine behind you. You got different artists performing on. What's the difference in that sound?
Well, understand there's a difference between recording artists and live performance or
Okay.
live performance, I should say. When you're in a recording environment in a studio, everything is perfect there. You got mics
Okay.
perfect. You got the EQs perfect. You got the levels perfect. You got reverbs and all that stuff. You got
Yeah.
musicians that play perfect because that's what they do.
Right.
They're awesome musicians.
Right.
When you're playing live, you get what those musicians have to do or their interpretation of what you did live or in the studio.
Okay.
That's their interpretation. Now, what you have to do as an artist is say, okay, that's good. I like that. Or change the musicians so that you can get a sound more like what you want. Also, remember, you have an engineer in there who does nothing but recordings. That's all they do. They
Okay.
know exactly what to hear, what frequencies to bring up. When you live, you got so much more to deal with. I mean,
Okay.
you got the room, you got the mics, you got the sound that's coming at you that's also blending with the sound that's in the room. I mean, it's
Right.
just so many dynamics. So a live recording, it's very hard
Mhm.
to sound like the record, although there are some people who bring in the record aspects into their performance,
Okay.
which you can do, and then play on top of that, and it gives you a more of a live feel.
Okay.
So that's something that people do. A lot of people look down on that sort of thing, but when I think about playing with what they call them tracks. When I
Okay.
think about playing with tracks, and I think about when I was growing up, and I looked at shows like um, Soul Train,
Hmm.
and you had Bandstand. Those people never played live. Now there was a few artists that did it. Like I think I remember like the Isley Brothers and
Right.
I think Barry White. I think and even James Brown. But most artists, I would say 99% of the artists that went on there, they played the record. And I always ask myself why.
Why?
But the reason they did it is because the person who's buying the product, I want you to hear what it sounds like. Not
Wow.
what it sounds like live, but what it sounds when you buy it, which made
Right.
more sense to me.
Okay.
So when you come out to live event, understand that this is live. It's going to sound different. Think of it as another aspect of the artist and what he's perceiving at that time for you to hear. And when you perform that performance for that
Mhm.
person there, know it's for you. It's not for other people. It's for you to hear.
Okay. I love that perspective that you mentioned because I love Soul Train. Every Saturday, I
Yeah.
made sure if I wasn't going to be home, y'all remember the VHS tapes. I left a VCR tape on to record it so I could catch it. And I remember there's only two people that I remember here singing live on Soul Train. I saw no three. I heard Regina Bell, Patti LaBelle. She performed, had a live band back there, and Rochelle Farrell.
Mhm,
And the only reason I knew Rochelle Farrell was singing live on there, she
mhm,
was singing a song with open arms that she did. And
mhm,
she normally does this high note run in the song, but
mhm,
she did some kind of scat in the middle of that song that I have never heard before. And
mhm,
that's like, I was like, wow.
mhm.
But somebody like her, who's I'm sure is a consummate professional, I was like, wow. So I always tell people, it takes a lot that goes into live recording and performances, and it also takes money. That's money when you get on stage and you travel and you have all these various components and people you take with. So that's why it's important for our audience who's watching, whoever goes back and watch the replay, that you need support. These artists need support. So when they have live shows, you need to go see the artists. When they drop their album or their new single is coming out, we need you to buy it. We need you to buy it. So go over to dbrownjazz.com and buy all this stuff. Just get the old stuff and so you can go back and listen to it and all that but we're going to talk about more in the music and that as well. But I wanted to go back to maybe your younger years
Mhm.
uh and record. Did you always know that you wanted to be a recording artist?
Well, no, it started out in elementary school, believe it or not. And I talked to my wife about this.
Uh-huh.
By the way, it is our anniversary day. Happy
Happy
anniversary
anniversary.
day. Anyway, um, when I was in kindergarten,
Hmm.
now this is back, I was 5 years old, six, something like that.
Okay.
There was a music teacher there. She was an older lady and she was kind of frail and very soft spoken, but she was a musician.
Oh, wow.
And she would say, okay, we're going to sing these songs. And it's usually songs like for Christmas or Halloween or something like that.
Oh,
And so I would look at the paper and read the words and she would play, but nobody else would sing.
oh, wow.
And I like, well, I, I wanted to do it because I wanted to do the right thing. And nobody else was doing it. And everybody was kind of like running over. I didn't want it to be, I was just kind of compassionate as a kid, I guess. So I would sing the songs. And then when the song that everybody wanted to sing, which was Batman, da 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 da,
Right.
and everybody would come in there singing Batman. I'm like, well, how come you not able to sing the other songs? But
Yeah.
at that point, I realized that I really liked music. My father, George
Mhm.
Sonny Brown, he
Okay.
was a musician and he was a music lover as well.
Okay.
And he would play records from the greats, all the people from the bebop era, like King Pleasure and
Oh, yeah.
Eddie Jefferson, Miles Davis, Charles Mingus, Les
Wow.
McCann. He would play all those greats, and I would hear that music, and it wasn't any singing, except for
Mhm.
with Eddie Jefferson, and they
Right.
would be. My father would come over there with his friends. They would play it loud, and they would be yelling, and I'd be, what they yelling about? And it took me almost up until the last 20 years. I really figured out why they were yelling, and this is what happens.
Okay.
Uh, they're yelling because they're feeling something that the music is sending out to them.
Mhm.
People don't really go to concerts to see something.
Right.
They go to feel something.
That's
The
true.
music gives you a feeling. Every note and the way those combination notes come together is a frequency that hits you a certain way, and it makes you feel a certain way. And
That's
that's what people are going to the concerts and shows, and even listen to music. They want to feel what that feeling is.
yeah.
So as far as wanting to be a recording artist, that didn't come along until like around high school. There was a gentleman next door to me. His name was Eric McClinton. He
Okay.
sung with a group called Eric and the Vikings. I don't know if you ever heard of that, but they had a song I called Vibrations.
Okay.
I think it was like in the early 70s. His mother lived next door to me, and he would come over and play the piano.
Okay.
He also introduced me to how the music business works with points and with ASCAP and BMI and what contracts meant. He took me to my first recording session that he was doing, and I was already playing the guitar, and he just really showed me exactly how it worked. And then once he showed that to me, I really thought that that's what I wanted to do.
Oh, I love that. I love hearing stories like that because and especially you playing the guitar. I was wondering, was that your first love? I thought I wanted to be a musician. I started off doing piano lessons, and that just didn't work out too well for me. And so I would be in my grandmother's kitchen, and my mom and dad, growing up were like, no, you need to go to your grandparents' house and beat pots and pans. And my grandmother would let me just beat everything as she would be in the kitchen baking a cake or whatever she was doing. And I just remember growing up, when I grew up in Cincinnati, Ohio, my parents just loved music. And growing up, they would do the basement parties and all that. And I heard so much Nancy Wilson and Miles Davis and George Benson and Ohio players and uh, just some of everybody. And so I wanted to ask you, who were some of your artists who you listened to growing up?
That's really strange because here's what happened in my home. As I was growing up as a little kid, I'm
Mhm.
talking about like 2 or 3 years old. As I told you, my father would come over there with his friends and they would play
Right.
music and they would be yelling and screaming. My mother, on the other hand, you would hear her play, stuff like James Brown, Teddy Pendergrass, the Four Tops, the Temptations, the Jacksons, and all that stuff. So I was hearing both the jazz and the R&B-ish kind of music.
Right.
Okay, so that's what I heard. And at my house, they would do parties just like that, and they would come over and they would play music loud, and everybody would eat and they would dance around, but they wouldn't really dance with the jazz songs. They would just kind of listen. But when the other music come on, like get up off of your dance, you could do. Oh, they up there dancing. So I remember all that and happening, and I thought, as I was going through, growing up and hearing that music, I was thinking, I really like both of those musics.
Mhm.
I love them both. I love the singers. I
Mhm.
love that, and I really loved Eddie Jefferson. I really like the way he projected his voice and how he used it as an instrument to sing with the band. So he was like the instrument. He would be like the trumpet or the sax or the guitar, and he would make words. It's
Right.
really interesting what he did. And I listened to that and I liked it. And I was a singer at first. That was my
Okay.
first instrument. I was
Oh,
a
wow.
vocalist. I was introduced to Wes Montgomery
Oh, wow.
by my father, and that was the very first guitarist I ever heard. I asked him as a kid, I was probably about 2, maybe 3 years old. I asked him, I said, that's a different sound. What instrument is that? He said, son, that's a guitar. And I said, Dad, that's the instrument I want to
I'm gonna play.
play.
I love that story. I love that story. And so I had no idea, D, that you were a vocalist. So I'm gonna put you on the spot, and
Oh,
I'm just gonna put you on the spot. And
no,
so
don't ask me to sing, please.
we were gonna actually just sing a line of something, or maybe one of your favorite songs.
Oh, let's see. I don't really do a lot of singing now, but
Right.
on my records, the vocals that you hear are
Mhm.
vocals that I've written, except for, we did some remakes. I did a remake of Praise Is What I Do.
Okay.
So I don't really do a lot of singing now. You know, let's see. Can I think of anything that I can really sing right now? Like Stevie Wonder. Let's see.
Okay.
Let's see. I'm in the studio here and it's all muted. So it's no reverb or anything.
Okay.
So I'll sing like maybe a little bit. Let me see.
Okay.
You made my soul a burning fire. That's it,
Ah,
man.
we was getting into that. We was gonna turn that up. We was gonna
That's
turn
it,
that.
man. That's it. That's all we get.
I love that. Ladies and gentlemen, international recording artist and guitarist, Mr. D. Brown.
Oh,
Make sure You go over to dbrownjazz.com. And right now, I want to show a clip of D Brown performing a little something right here on Artist Talk. We're going to check that out, and then we're going to come right back right here on Artist Talk. Hey, where were you and you were performing at?
That was actually in Detroit, downtown Detroit at Hart Plaza. That's
Okay.
something they call the Ribs and Soul Festival. That's one of the biggest festivals that they have downtown, right
Okay.
on the riverfront. Beautiful stage, beautiful sound. As you hear it, the video and that sort of thing was something that we kind of like threw in with the the iPhone sort of thing. We didn't have like the big cameras there, but
Okay.
that was done, and it was a very, very good concert. That was my band that I put together. The
Okay.
gentleman that was playing the keyboards there in the back with the
Okay.
white keyboard, that's
Mhm.
my producer, and he writes most of the songs with me. His name is Valdez Brantley,
Okay.
internationally known. He's played with just about everyone, and he had also been the music director for Usher for at
Okay.
least about 15 years or so.
Oh,
So
wow.
he's well known. He's played with anybody that you could name, even James Brown. That
Oh,
really
wow.
interests me. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
I love.
he's a good guy from Detroit, and also the sax man. That was Dion Yates. He's an international recording artist as well. He stepped in because my other sax player, Desi McCullers Jr.,
Okay.
he was not available. And
Oh,
because we get pulled in so many directions.
right.
Sometimes the gigs come up, and you need to jump on it, and sometimes you're not available. But hopefully, we'll get him back into the saddle. It was a
Okay.
great outing,
Okay.
great concert. We had a great time.
I love that. And we're going to talk with D a little bit more. He has a new track out called West 8 Mile. We're going to talk about that. But coming up next is our Mind, Body, and Soul segment with Dr. Chantel Graham. And then we're going to have more conversation with guitarist D Brown right here on Artist Talk.
It's time for Health and Wellness Check-In with Dr. Chantel Graham. Tips for the mind, body, and soul.
Dr. G, hey, Dr. G, I like that part when he said, get up off of that.
I
Bam.
thought he was gonna start singing. I was ready to just like what, and then he gonna stop. That's that. You can't be doing that. I'm laughing because when they talk about you being a DJ and all you do is push buttons, starting an X-ray, they thought we were just button pushers. That's all we do. And I'm like, no, usually y'all pushing my buttons, but we're not.
I understand, especially when you are in the OR. I could only imagine.
I think people like to undermine people's crafts, and they have to realize it's just we work together as a well-oiled machine. No one person can do everything. But we're not going to talk about this today. We're gonna move on. We're going to talk about health and wellness. We're going to be on a happier note. So, I'm always last minute. Listen, people, I don't want to hear nothing about you telling me, did you think about it before? I don't do it. Don't work for me. So I'm thinking here, and I started sneezing. I said, you know what? I get allergies in the spring from the flowers, but then I also get it in the fall from the tree and the ragweed season. Now, let me ask you a question. When you blow your nose, do you look in your tissue?
I do.
Thank you. And you should, because we could tell a lot from your snot. Get it? A lot from your snot. I'm sorry. Let me be professional. We could determine a lot of factors when we look at your mucus, okay? Just by the color of it. So
Okay.
when you have like clear mucus, like it's like a regular runny nose, just clear mucus, that's pretty much healthy mucus. That's usually a symptom of allergies. That's what that is. So clear snot is okay. Then you'll get that color snot that's like a pale yellow. And what that signals is that your body is trying to fight off an infection. It's actually doing a pretty good job when it's a yellowish color. But then the colors start to change. Now, if you get that thick green mucus, what that says is the infection has gone up and your body's fighting infection. And if anytime you have that green thick mucus more than 12 days, go see a doctor. But what doctor are we not going to go see?
Dr. Google.
Thank you very much. Go see a physician, whether it be telehealth or go to a doctor's office. Then you can have, hello, Colleen. Then you can have that pinkish color snot. And don't be alarmed about that, because some people have nosebleeds, and it can be pink because when the heat starts to come on, because the weather's trying to change, you put the heat on in the house and it dries you out. That just means that your nasal passages are probably dry, a little bit of injury, so you will blow your nose and you will see snot. What you can do to get rid of that is just use a little saline water and flush it out.
Okay.
And saline water is just salt water, people. That's all it is. Nothing fancy. You can go and buy the foam and the liquid over the counter now. It's no big deal. And then you have two more different colors. You may have like a brown color in your mucus or in your snot. And that's just indicative that you're probably inhaling some kind of dust or something like that.
Okay.
If you're a smoker, it could be brown too. But then you'll have that black smoke. Black smoke, it could be normal if you're a smoker, which means you shouldn't continue to smoke because it's just making your snot look black, whatever.
Right.
Or if you're a non-smoker, it could be indicative that you have some kind of fungal infection.
Okay.
So go to the doctor. Don't say, oh, this one time. If you went to a room that was full of smoke or you came out of a burning house, it's going to be black, people. Don't freak out. That you should be going to the doctor anyway. But if you just blow it and you see black in there, it's probably because you have some kind of fungal infection you're fighting. So that's the fact about snot.
Oh, I know. I always wondered, what did they come up with that word? That they had a better.
It's really called mucus. I don't know who named it snot. That's something you gotta look up. We gotta figure it out. Maybe somebody can tell us on this in the background where they came up with that word snot. And my father used to make this okra stew, which I love. And that's something I would eat okra. He would stew it down. He would put like lima beans in there. He would have little seasonings, and he had to have his nipples in there, whatever. He used to call it his snot pot because that mucus from that.
I love. You know what's so funny about that? I grew up with a kid on my street, and the more you thought about it, we used to call him Snot. Because when we were growing up as kids, we used to call him Snot. You know how you always had like Lionel with the blanket?
Yes.
The more I call him Snot so long, I can't even remember. Sometimes I can't remember the real name. And because
that's my one thing about, like, I love babies. I don't have any children, but I love babies. But when your kid sneeze and that stuff come out, I can't deal with mucus. I don't deal with mucus. And that's my worst thing in the OR. When we have to wake patients up, and sometimes we have to, take out the intubation, everything, is when they start to do the suction. I can't stand. Oh, I can't stand that noise. That suction. It just. I can't. I just call them juicy patients. I don't use the snot word, but I don't like juicy patients. It's just the noise. It's just it does something to me.
Right.
Oh,
I know that.
Yeah.
And so, Dr. G, let people know how they can find you, my friend.
My info is right there, theapplife.info, or my email, drgriff@theapplife.info. If you're going to email me, I need 2 forms ID and insurance card before you ask me a question. And I'm going to make sure that I do accept your insurance. No, I'm just playing. You guys may have a question after this. Feel free to contact me, email me. I always go through the chats when we're done and try to go back and answer questions. I am not trying to replace your doctor, but I'm here to kind of help you and put you on the right path if you need some kind of advice.
We love that. We love it. Dr. G, let them know about your book and how they can go get your book.
Oh, she's always right here. And I'm going to give y'all a double dose because, we do have the hardcover and paperback. So that's me at the Germinator. Get your copy.
Okay.
If you order from the website, we will sign an autograph and send it out to you. So please do that.
Okay. So anybody, don't look at it as it's a children's book, but it's for adults too. So if you have nieces, nephew, kids, grandkids, small kids, please get the book.
It's one for everyone. It's even for adults. Look at Chef gave us. It comes from the Old English word "guess not," which means nasal mucus. Thanks, Chef. For that, I know we just be calling stuff snot. Yeah. So that was a lot about snot. We're gonna stop talking about mucus because again, I don't like juicy patients. That's my only pet peeve. I don't do juicy patients, and I do not like feet. I can't deal with feet. I've seen some bad feet. Anytime your toenails are like this over top of your feet, you know what?
I understand. I understand. Just put on some music, just like D Brown. I know I don't know how many surgeries, whatever you have to do next week in the OR, but put on some D Brown, some West 8 Mile, or some of his other songs like No Time to Waste, Smooth Talk. Y'all can play that when you get ready to do surgery.
Let me tell you something. When I get to work, the first thing I do, besides clocking in, because I need my coin, is put on music. Music just makes the day go by better. It puts you in that right mood. It's in that right time frame, and the music allows us to express ourselves. Because some things we can't say at work, but I can play a song and not get tired.
I do. Well, Dr. G, as always, we love you on the show. We're going to bring you back on the show. But coming up next, we go to commercial break when we bring D Brown back in. Coming up is a new film called The Untold Secrets of a Plus Size Diva that is coming to theaters and to cities near you. I will be one of the hosts on the red carpet. It's a great film. Producer from Montgomery, Alabama, will be premiering in Atlanta and also Montgomery and hopefully to a city near you. And we're going to take a look at the clip and we're going to be back with D Brown and Dr. G right here on Artist Talk.
All right.
Hey, my divas! Plus size, just as fine as Jimmy, with plus size. Burn, baby.
Be everything I prayed for.
We always have to lift each other up.
Do you need me to come over there and pick you up?
That is not love. He's gonna regret all of this. You're the one that broke this, not me.
Romy!
I don't know how much longer I can deal with this marriage.
Go to hell.
I trained for love, please. After I'm giving you all of my goodness. Help us, please.
So if you love those women, make sure they know.
I'm sorry, baby.
Can I take a bed? Oh, I hope you can handle it.
That's the secret life of Untold Divas, starring Montgomery's own Sylvia Wilson and Darlene Shuford. So more information coming back on that. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We're with the smooth man himself, guitarist, Mr. D Brown, back there. Welcome back to the show, D.
Hey, let's do it.
Did you learn anything from Dr. G about the mucus?
Yes, I have learned a lot.
You learned a lot.
I could repeat it back to you verbatim if you like.
I
won't do it though.
Had enough to talk about snot. It's okay. We don't want to
Talking about snot, talking about mucus, the different colors.
Yeah.
We got the color brown, we got the color pink, we got the yellow, we got the green, we got the clear. We left that one out, but that's included too.
I love that.
Thank you so much for that.
You gotta stay informed with the little things. I think a lot of times people don't understand our bodies will tell us all we need if we listen.
Absolutely. That's true.
Absolutely.
And if you listen to D Brown and you listen to West 8 Mile, so D,
Yes,
I
sir.
heard the new song. It's
Mhm.
playing, it's on the charts. Everybody is digging it. Tell us, is there a story behind the song West 8 Mile? Because that title, when I saw West 8 Mile.
Okay. All right. Well, this is kind of like really cool. You get a chance to look at the album cover. Everybody really take a deep look at it. And the very background in front of me, or I'm in front of a map. That is a map of Detroit.
Wow.
There's a line that goes under my name. It says D Brown. That line where my name is, that's 8 Mile. Okay.
Wow.
So Wes is really representing West Montgomery because he spells his name W-E-S. That's actually West, W-E-S-T, in the city.
Right.
So it's paying homage to my guitar hero, West Montgomery. And as you see me on the picture, I'm not playing with a pick. I'm playing with my thumb.
Right.
That's how he played.
Wow.
Now, the word 8, the number 8, and why it's 8 Mile is because what Wes did, he played a technique called playing with octaves. Octave, octave, octa, octave. That's 8, right?
Okay.
8 diatonic notes away from the first note, which is an octave, is how he played his solos. So that's paying homage to my city of Detroit, which that's my hometown, and then one of my guitar heroes, Mr. Wes Montgomery, probably one of the most influential jazz guitar players of all time.
I love that. And before I get to another question, I want Chef Dust to hear. If you haven't heard the song, people, you need to hear this song. You need to download it. So let's take a listen. A little bit of D Brown's latest release. It's called West 8 Mile. Hey,
Yes.
that's a groove. That's a groove. If you didn't download this song or order your copy of this song, shame on you. Shame on you for not having this song in your life. And so the song, when you said Wes played with without a pick, have you ever played? Why do you need the pick versus just your thumb?
That's a good question. And here is what I read in Guitar Player magazine years ago. I used to read a magazine called Guitar Player, and it was an interview with Wes Montgomery, and they asked him, "What is it about your playing that you dislike the most?" You know what he said?
What's that?
I can't play with a pick. Now, what the pick gives you is it gives you the fluency to play faster.
Okay.
Now, there's certain things that you can do when you're a guitar player, you'll know there's certain things you can do to make it sound like you're playing fast. But the pick gives you the speed. And it takes a lot of, technique and a lot of time to develop how to use it and how to pick. And everybody does not pick the correct way. And in many ways, there is a correct way, but there's some people who don't use the correct way, but they can sound good using it. You don't have to use it the correct way. But he was really upset that he couldn't play fast. And that's what a pick does. When you hear like those rock and roll guitar players, and they playing like at breakneck speed, they're playing with a pick, but you can still get speed with your fingers and with your thumb. And that's how he played. And if you listen to him play, you could hear him play some really fast runs.
Okay. Have you ever played without a pick?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And you get a certain sound when you don't play with the pick. The pick gives you more of a staccato, kind of like pointed sound. It's real pointed. But when you play with your thumb, it's more of a round sound, and it's more, I guess I could say, earthy. It has an earthy sound, and it sounds very rich.
Right.
When you play with your thumb. Yeah, it's a very rich feeling.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, I've learned something today about playing with the guitar. All right. I do play guitar, just so you guys know.
Okay.
But I play it on my PlayStation 4. It came with the game.
So you don't really play the actual.
In my mind, but in my mind, I am. In my mind, I got it, but I'm never going to try it. But that red guitar is a nice looking piece of instrument.
Isn't it beautiful? I got to tell you about that guitar. Let me just tell you this. That guitar right there was given to me as an endorsement. I'm endorsed by a company called Eastman. Eastman is out of China, and they make all my guitars for me. They gave me that one. That's called an Eastman 804.
Beautiful.
You check it out. They don't make that one anymore, just to let you know. But they do have other instruments that if you are a jazz lover and you want a jazz box, that's called a jazz box. That's a good one. Now, when you look at that guitar and you look at the other jazz boxes, if you ever see any more, they're bigger. That guitar is very small. And that's what's so unique about it. It's very small, it is hollow, and it's very light. And it's very easy to play. If you ever played a jazz box, it's kind of awkward because it's so big. But this one's small, and it's perfect for me and what I do.
Wow.
I love that. And
we talk about that too, a lot, Jazzie. some of these instruments is like a piece of furniture. It's like a piece of art. And I would love to have like a room with just some good looking instruments. I might can't play them, but they are,
You can learn though. You can learn.
but they are beautiful. Like they are just beautiful to look at. Really.
They
Yeah.
really are. And when you were talking about endorsement, and could you explain? I understand, but you know, I'm looking at my phone and I get tweets and all this other stuff. And people, when you talk about endorsements,
Yes.
when an artist gets an endorsement, could you explain what that means for the artist when it comes to your instruments?
All right, Jazzy, let me take off my glasses for this one, man. Let me tell you this. This is pretty deep. All right, y'all. Being a musician and playing an instrument, there are some instruments that runs, from let's say $800 to $80,000. Now, when I say that, when you have an endorsement with a company, they give you their instrument because they want you to play it to show everybody else how beautiful it is, how lovely it is, and how they can make more sales. So you're like their, how can I say it, ambassador to that instrument. You got that instrument and they want to know what he plays it. Well, what instrument is that? And then it continually escalates. People want to know what instrument that is. And you tell them, you get a chance to tell them what instrument this is and where they can find it. So you're just their ambassador for their instrument or whatever it is that they make. Because of course there's horns that they make, and there's pianos, there's keyboards, there's drums, and everybody can have an endorsement. The problem is people don't understand how to get them. And the best way to get it, and I'll just tell everybody this who is a musician out there and who may be looking for endorsements.
Right.
The best way to get an endorsement is to go to something called the NAMM show. The NAMM show is hosted in Nashville, Tennessee, and in California.
Right.
The problem is you have to be invited in. You just can't walk off the street and come in.
Okay.
But there's certain ways that you can get in. And I think now they're allowing you to get in there for a day or so for a fee of some sort.
Okay.
And if you are endorsed, then it doesn't cost you anything. And you can just imagine, how many people are there at one time. It may be 200,000 people at one time. It's that big. Every music company that makes instruments for anything, as small as strings, as small as picks, is as big as grand pianos, as big as double bass, as big as oboes. Every instrument is there, and all the companies are there bidding for you to come try these instruments and see if it's something that you may want to purchase. Now, to get an endorsement, you got to have something back you saying, okay, I need endorsement because I have maybe a record deal, or I have a record out that's doing good, or I'm working with, let's say I'm working with Quincy Jones or something like that,
Right.
and we've got several records out. So you got to be able to show it out when you're out there performing.
Okay. Again, as Dr. G and I always talk about, it's about basically educating yourself in your craft, in your field. And so a lot of artists, you know these things. So it's not easy just to get an endorsement because you are a musician. That's right, Dr. G?
And remember, a lot of times these instruments, the way they cost, this is an investment. And you want to use the best instrument because you want to make yourself sound the best you can. And you can get a $10 mic or you can get a $200 mic. You got to just figure out, it's sometimes when you start off, you can't really afford that. The things that you really want. So you got to make do. But that's good to know. I didn't know they even had that. So again, I'm learning a whole lot today. I'm about to go listen. I'm gonna give you an endorsement. I don't know what I'm gonna do with it. I'm gonna figure it out.
I know. I see so many of my music friends every year at NAMM. And I first, to a few years ago, I didn't know much about NAMM. And then I started reading up. I said, oh wow, this is what this organization is about. And it's huge. I didn't know they did it in Tennessee though. I always thought it was California.
Nashville is a big music town. Nashville is a big music town. You get all kinds of music coming through there. Country, Western, everybody's coming through Nashville now. And the price of real estate in Nashville has skyrocketed. Okay. So
I know.
Yeah.
And the outside of all of your music, and I know this new song that's amazing that's on the charts, West 8 Mile. What do you want people to take away when they listen to this song?
Well, you know, the West 8 Mile thing, of course, is what it is. I mean, you know, it's me paying homage to Wes Montgomery. I'm playing kind of how he would play. Now, I am not Wes Montgomery. Do not get that out of your mind. He is only the man that can do what he do. I only take some of his ideas and kind of
Okay.
form it into what I can do. All right. He was amazing.
Right.
And I'm just gonna say that I really want you to understand that, you know, when I'm playing this music, I'm playing it for you. I want you to feel what I'm feeling. So I'm trying to get you to kind of move a little bit with it, kind of rock a little bit, and think about good thoughts. I don't want to think any negative.
Right.
Good thoughts about what it is you want to do, maybe being out on the beach, chilling out, you know, maybe at a barbecue, you know, having, you know, your favorite beverage in your hand and kind of relaxing with a lot of people that you love around you and you guys just having a good time. That's what I really want you to get out of it. And know that what I'm doing is my gift, and my gift is to you. And the only way that you can support my gift is to what?
Hashtag
Purchase.
share my.
And
D,
share it and purchase it. You know, if you don't purchase the music that we're doing, then you're going to be left with only the older people, and pretty much then the genre is going to be dropped out because everybody's going to, you know,
right.
retire from it. So
Right.
I do ask that people do, you know, if you do like the music, not necessarily my music, but any music that you like, that you hear,
Mm-hmm.
go ahead and purchase it and pass it on, like Jazzie said.
Support the art. Because remember, like I said, you spend money on a $10 cup of coffee, and once you drink it, it's over. At least with this, you can play it over and over again, and you get to enjoy it. Because when you hear good music, it just does something to you. It can
Right.
change your mood. It can change your atmosphere. It's a good thing. And we
Right.
all have positivity over here. So
Right.
Absolutely.
And what I try to do, D, I tell a lot of my friends, like at my house, when artists, I don't post this on social media, when artists have new music, and I like social gatherings, and when friends come over my house, it's always music. I try to have a listening party. When an artist has a, and maybe I need to start promoting and sharing a little bit more. So I say, hey, I have a friend, D Brown. He has a new track out. So come over, we're gonna have some wine and let's listen to 8 Mile. I think that's another marketing to share because a lot of my friends they don't necessarily listen to a lot of jazz, but there's so much music, and I that's my way of hey, you should check this artist out. You'd be surprised. And it's like, Jazzy, if you had never played that, I probably would have never heard that song before. So I think we need to do a little bit more of that.
I think
Is
that goes back to people think that when you talk about jazz, they think about soppy, sad music that's like more like classical older jazz, which is great music too. But jazz just has such a range. It's not just one particular thing. You can have jazz that's upbeat, you can have jazz that's mellow, you can have jazz that makes you want to just go somewhere and lay down and take a nap. All of it is great. So I think that when they hear the word jazz, most people, especially young people, they think about, oh, that's my mother and father music. It's going to be soppy. No, jazz is something else. Okay.
right. It is. It is. And I love jazz, and so should you. And D, let people know what's the best way to find you on social media too.
Well, the best way to find D Brown is just go into Google and put D Brown Guitarist, or go to my official website at dbrownjazz.com. There you can find all my social media contacts are right there in that one spot. Plus, my website is being updated. It's going to be brand new, coming out in the next few weeks. It's going to be fantastic. But right now, you can still contact me. And if there's a performance or something that you may want me to come to, the
Okay.
contact is there for that as well.
Okay. That's good. Anything coming up that you can share with us before we
Well, you know, there's something good happening. You know, and it's, you know how it is, man. You know, when you're doing this thing and you got this person talking to this person,
right.
yeah. Right now, I got a brand new booking agent,
Okay.
and we're doing some things, and we're preparing for some really big things. And the
Wow.
only thing I can say is check back on the website at dbrownjazz.com often, because we got some big things coming up, not only with the music, not only with the concert, but there's some other things coming up as well. So check back. Plus, I am going to have a brand new full CD released next year in 2025. The title is called Mr. Smooth, and it's going to be released in the first quarter of 25.
Okay. I love it. My
Bring
brother.
him back, Jazzy. We gotta bring him back for that. You know, we gotta take you that. Yes,
You, have
sir.
to you definitely have to come back
Yeah.
on this show, dbrownjazz.com. And But one more question. I know you in the Motor City, and you might get this a lot.
Mhm.
Aretha Franklin. Did you
Yes.
ever meet her, play with her? Anything you can share about that?
Well, Aretha Franklin, of course, the Queen of Soul. She was definitely that. I had a chance to tour with her. Yes, I did. I do, being a musician, being a guitarist, you're a sideman. Sideman is someone who plays with other people. Okay, so I
Okay.
do that a lot. Even now I still play with other artists that go out on tour and that sort of thing, and that kind of keeps you busy.
Yeah.
Yes, I did have a chance to meet her. I did a tour with her, and she is fantastic. The band was fantastic, and the audience everywhere we went was sold out.
Wow. I love that. Any words of wisdom you can leave us going out of the show? D, anybody that's watching this who's a current artist trying to find their way, any words of wisdom you can give them about this business?
Yes, there is. If there's anyone out there who really wants to get into the music business, the very first thing, and this is hard to pill to swallow, and I had to swallow it too, but the number one thing is that you have to love music. Love it to the point where you would do it for free and you wouldn't even have to get paid. Now, of course, we understand there's something called the music business. That is the part that you need to study and find out everywhere that music plays and every way that you can receive income through music. Now, once you figure that out, now you build your path on which way you go. You don't necessarily need a record deal to do that. I mean, there's other ways to actually put you in front of a lot of people without having a record deal. But the number one thing is for you to love it, understand where the funding can come directly to you, and then plan your way of going into the business. And it's really good to talk to people who's in the business too, and people that you trust, because it's a lot of people out here who are not trustworthy, but you'll know the ones to trust.
There
That's
you have
that's
it.
my advice.
You heard it. D Brown Guitars, dbrownjazz.com. His latest release is 8 West Mile. D, my brother, thank you so much for coming on the show. Come back and hang out with us anytime.
Well, Jazzie, it's been my pleasure.
Thank you so much, sir. Can you stick around for just a second for me?
I sure can.
Okay. Thank you so much. Hey, everybody, another great show. Myself, Dr. G. Any final words you want to say before you go?
I just want to say, going into the week, just be thankful, be happy, be humble, and don't think of anything as a bad situation. Just look at it, what you can learn from it. You learn what to do or what not to do.
Okay. I love it. And don't forget, go over to K Ward Radio. That's my website, K Ward Radio, my YouTube channel. Like the page. It's free, y'all. It only takes a second. Just like the page, y'all. Just like the page. Don't forget to check out dbrownjazz.com. Thank you so much to Dr. G, Dr. Chantel Graham, Chef D in the background. Thank you all so much. I hope you have a great rest of the week. We appreciate your support here always. If you would like to mail me some information, my address is listed there. If you would like to support the show Artist Talk, all of that is notated there. It's also in the comments section. Join me each and every Saturday on Alabama State University Smooth Jazz Station, WBAS FM 90.7. Have a great weekend. Have a great week. Make sure you take care of yourself and always be kind to others. We'll see you next time.
All right, this is saxophonist D. Lucas, and you have just watched Artist Talk with my man, Jazzie K. Ward. Hey, check him out every Monday at 7 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on his Facebook Live or YouTube. And if you don't, shame on you.
It's the Jazzie K Ward coming at ya.